In this edition of ICIT Fellow Insights, we'll speak with Mike Seguinot, an ICIT Fellow and Director of Federal at Exabeam, on how advancing analytics is changing the way organizations turn data into strategic security intelligence.
Hello, my name is Michael Seguinot. I'm Federal Director with Exabeam. Thank you very much for the time today. I think the important thing to understand when we talk about data, people probably read that and think, what is Mike talking about? I think what's important to understand, when we look at cybercrime, everything that goes on in a cybercrime is available. All the data, all the evidence that I need to solve what happened is there. What often happens though is we don't collect, store, or have all the data available, or we're not analyzing the data. If you look at the evolution of cybersecurity, years ago it really started with signature-based detection. In other words, we saw an attack or a technique that was used, we create a signature for that, and we look for similar signatures. And those are your very basic IDS systems. And as we evolved SIM technology, it was looking to correlate multiple IDSs that were very chatty to find real attacks, right? What happened though is we ignored a lot of data. We weren't paying attention to everything going on. As the cybersecurity challenge has gotten greater, we've seen more and more complicated breaches. We understand things like APTs. We realize after post-breach analysis that all the data is there. Now our point in the essay is that a lot of times when we talk to customers, they don't collect, or they're not using all the data, or they might collect it but not making it part of the decision process. So what we're seeing in cybersecurity, it's an important part of that is having all the data available. What we're seeing enterprises do is use the term data lake or data ocean, which is basically saying they're putting all their data, it could be everything from log data, flow data, packet data, whatever that data might be, in one repository so they can analyze it and see what's going on in their environment. So what I'd say again, if you go back to the evolution of cybersecurity, when we looked at early correlation, a SIM rule was a logic-based question, an and or, right? If you do this, or that, or this, whatever it is, I make a conditional decision. I think back to the early brute force login attacks, right? Brute force login was me using someone's password over and over, dictionary tags in an account until I gained access. Well, I can write a correlation rule to stop that very easily. If I see so many brute force attempts within a certain period of time, I trigger a lockout or alert somebody. What's happened though, cybersecurity and attacks they're smart. They're APT, they're advanced persistent threats. I might log in every few minutes or every few hours or different times. So what's happened with analytics is we're looking and using algorithms to detect behavior. Kind of gray correlation. I'm not looking for false logins at a certain time. I'm looking for maybe false logins from certain locations, or maybe successful logins with false or malicious activity after the login, right? Maybe I saw an email come in which a user clicked on, they fell victim to a phishing attack, their account has now been compromised, so the account now authenticates into the system natively, there's no objection there, and then it's what happens afterwards, right? That user authenticates and now he hits HR databases he's never touched before, and he's downloading stuff he'd never accessed before. So again, it's using that analytics to understand the complete picture, which also goes back to data. We have to have the data to see that. Well, again, this is an excellent question, and again, I'll look back to what cybersecurity was years ago. Years ago, it was easy for me to do a proof of concept to evaluate two different products side by side by giving them the same type of attacks, the same signatures, and look for what's going on. When I look at analytics, and specifically around technologies like behavior analytics, it's almost like black magic because you can't really see what each person's doing, the rules or requirements. The real truth or validation is in the outcome, right? For me, as a person working at Exabeam, what we press is referenceability. Talking to other users who've used analytics solutions and see how that works for them. Our approach in the beginning was also not to try to redo everything in the market space. It was to come in and be a helper to these technologies that are out there. SIMs do a great job of collecting data, right? They do a poor job of managing the detection capability because they have to be tuned. We're able to use our algorithms, our black magic, to make and add value there. So again, I think the challenge and what's happened is a lot of people came out with analytic solutions early on that didn't add much value, that created more noise. I think a lot about the DLP market, digital or data loss prevention. Often these digital loss prevention solutions, they're so noisy, they're so chatty, people turn them down or turn them off. So similar with analytics, people had analytic solutions early on, they didn't get the value they saw out of it, or they also didn't have the correct use cases developed. So what I would say is what's impeded that is kind of a misperception that this is supposed to be a silver bullet. It's not. It's going to complement what you have. What I encourage people to do is talk to references. I think references are the most important thing. If you're doing evaluations, do bake-offs. It's harder to evaluate a kind of a gray area, an algorithm, but I do think referenceability and also understanding what it is you're trying to accomplish with the technology. It's not just a list of use cases, but what's important to your business. I could give examples, account lockout. Everyone here locks their account out. I've done it, you've done it, we all do it. What we don't realize on the back end, an account lockout might be a very difficult thing to validate. Was it really Michael? Do I make Michael go through a re-authentication process? In fact, if you think in the government, if I lose my CAT card, my physical ID, I have to re-authenticate, get that new card. Some of the similar challenges. You have to keep that in mind with the technology. Well, it's funny, I think right now we're a very small startup company focused on delivering solutions to our customers. The best research, we're participating as much as we can as a small company. We're open to sharing what we can, but I think what's best for us is in referenceability and what you're hearing in the community from our customers. We have a very passionate user community, very passionate about sharing information with other users and what they're seeing and what they're doing. And I think as we grow as a company and there's more success in this space, you'll hear more about that. I'd also say that there's user group communities that you'll see out on the internet, whether it's meeting up groups or Twitter groups or whatever it might be, Facebook groups. They're talking about these technologies and talking about making real impact and changes. So I'd say right now education's still early. I'd even add that I've seen some customers who are using behavior to teach good behavior, right? So instead of me smacking your hand because you did something wrong, I can simply say, hey, did you mean to touch this database? Did you mean to log in at this time? Is this really you? So good behavior can also be a training mechanism. Again, small company that Exabeam is, I think we've made some great successful wins in the last 2 years in the federal government. I think part of that is a lot to do with our visibility in the market space. And the number one thing that ICT does is bring us that visibility, get us in front of people who probably didn't know who Exabeam was. I think where we are losing is where we're not invited in to talk to customers. People who talk to us see value. So I can't stress the importance of a small company to be able to get great visibility and get the reach that we get through ICIT. Whether it's through Congress, just having our name out there, they at least know, if we're on a briefing, or simply at the events that you guys host, monthly or quarterly. That gets us great value.